AchtungMillwall supports the Lions Food Hub, and all of our advertising revenues will be donated to support this fantastic initiative. It's now based at the Lions Centre on Bolina Road, and it's run by our own Kelly Webster. This is a friendly food bank supporting families in the Bermondsey and SE16 area. If you can help support the Lions Food Hub in any way, please visit @Lions Food Hub on Twitter or get in touch with us at AchtungMillwall. The Lions Food Hub. Come on, you Lions.
You're listening to AchtungMillwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Well, hello, dear listeners. Welcome to the last AchtungMillwall of the pre-season. Looming ahead is the great expanse of the football EFL season lying ahead. Joining me to chew over the card for this final pre-season show is star of Radio 5, Mr. Aaron Paul. Welcome to the show, Aaron.
Nick, I may not be very good in the beat test, but I'll tell you something, I'll drink anyone pint for pint under the table. That's my pre-season sorted.
Good to have you back on the show, Aaron. And also joining us in his referee shirt is a full referee wanker himself. It's Mr. Michael Avery. Welcome to the show.
I took the shorts off, and that would actually be.
We don't need to see that.
Not shorts, the socks. No, I don't need to see that. That would actually be classed as descent, Nick, as well. So yeah, 10 minutes in the sin bin for you. Thank you.
Yellow card for me.
Just want to make 2 points on that. Firstly, that's the first time I've ever heard Nick swear. Yeah, 3-4 years and knowing him. Secondly, Michael Avery's got no shorts when he's sat on his marital bed.
Don't need to see this. Michael really is wearing a referee's shirt, at least. We don't need to know what else is going on out of the screen on our Zoom call. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on a Sunday afternoon. We are speaking at the end of an interesting little pre-season period, really. I mean, I must admit, after Gillingham in the week, Michael, you went to the Priestfield Stadium and you did me some audio, so maybe we'll cut away in a moment to have a listen to Michael's audio. But I was feeling a little bit downbeat after that 1-1 draw at the Gills, only to be to have my world rocked by semi-Barcelona comparisons yesterday when we won 3-0 at Portman Road. How did you find the midweek performance, mate?
Do you know what? In truth, I think the only, you wouldn't say real positive, but it wasn't really about the game as silly as it sounds. It was about the fans being back in the ground. And that's when I'll put in the voice notes and messages I sent over to you. It was good to have the fans together. It was a good atmosphere. You know, Millwall fans, yes, we were drinking out-of-date beer, but we seemed to be behaving ourselves and all that. But ultimately, on the pitch was we had a good quarter of an hour, and as I said over to you, we had a good opening quarter of an hour. But I think I'm not sure whether it was a mixture of just like a bit of fatigue, maybe coming back from pre-season training, not being matched up yet. But after the 15 minutes, Gillingham scored. It took the wind out of our sails a bit, and the game itself turned into a bit of like a damp squib. There didn't seem to be much direction. There didn't seem to be much actual final penetration in the final third of the game. Afobe was okay in the first half. He just looked very enthusiastic and lively. Smith actually had a good second 45 minutes rather than the sort of last 15, 20 minutes he normally gets a game. But yeah, in truth, I think if we would have played against Gillingham in the opening 5-6 games of the season, then yes, obviously we would have been a bit worrying. But as you say, those goals that we scored against Ipswich that we saw online, they were fantastic, weren't they? And you do feel slightly more confident now.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron, pre-season is always notorious in my experience. Results in pre-season mean absolutely nothing, really. Unless you get beat, and then suddenly they mean everything, in which case, you go around in circles of it. But a 3-0 win at Ipswich, League One opposition, you could argue, but I mean that's a decent start. I mean, how do you find pre-season? I always find it a bit of it's a real drag. You just can't wait to get into the real thing, such as next week. When it really begins.
I'll be honest with you. I can't wait till next weekend. I'm so buzzing for next weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I was going to watch Millwall, but I'm not. I'm going to elsewhere. But I'm buzzing for competitive action with fans to be back. You know, just that noise. It's going to be something really, really brilliant. The pre-season's a weird one because, you know, unfortunately, the Twitterati, you know, they sit and they rest on pre-season results, and you know, someone gets beat 1-0 or 2-0 by, you know, a club that's below them, they start shitting themselves. I think yesterday though, the Ipswich game, that really sort of livened things up, didn't it?
It certainly put some buzz around the Millwall scene online, which was starting to flag a little bit, I thought, after some sluggish starting, you know, workout games. Is pre-season at the end of the day. That's all it is. But yeah, I mean, the football that we played yesterday seemed to me to be quite interesting. I'm just looking at a number of takeaways from the game. I think this is on London News Online, and one of the things they've picked up on, which I am interested to see the new season with Danny McNamara. I think that Danny is a real prospect. He seems to have, on quality terms, he's edged out Marlon Romeo. No mean achievement to have done that. And one of the points they raised yesterday from the game is his linkage with Jed Wallace. What's that you've got there? What's
Leicester City Spring Water, I think.
Leicester City Spring Water.
What's
okay.
there? Yeah.
Link up play between Jed Wallace and McNamara. I mean, Jed's contractual situation is still in the air. I think a lot will depend on our his promotion push this season, but we'll see on that front. But that's a nice sounding problem to have, isn't it? Marlon Romeo or McNamara joining up with Jed Wallace on the right side.
Great goal from him yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, nicely taken,
Great
wasn't
goal.
it? And some nice build-up play for Benik Afobe as well there, Michael, as well. And I think he got 2, didn't he, yesterday?
Yeah, and this goes back to what we were saying before, where Afobe, or not before today, but before a few weeks back, when Afobe does have class. He is a good player. I think he's one of these players who, unfortunately, I mean, he was at Stoke, wasn't he, a couple of seasons ago?
Yeah.
He was at the sort of football graveyard of careers that is Stoke City, and then he went out to I believe he went out to Bristol City, didn't he, the season after, and he got injured, and it didn't work out well for him there. And like we said before, Nick, all you need is a Benik Afobe who hits a bit of form to sort of rubber the green goes for him. And you've arguably got a 15, 20 goal a season striker there. He's proved in the past he's done it. And, you know, he's had some tragedies in his personal life, which we won't go into too much. He scored 2 goals in pre-season. He looks sharp. He's shown that if he actually gets a decent level of service, he knows where the back of the net is. And two goals the week before your first game of the season, when, you know, you even though he's on loan, but your team and your teammates are predicted to have a pretty decent, you know, run in the table and sort of finish in the top half. Who's to say he won't get you 15, 20 goals?
I'll tell you what, Michael, what's interesting about Afobe is you talk about his period at Stoke, yeah? When he signed with Stoke, he was one of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 strikers there. They had Bojan, Torres, Campbell, Peter Crouch, Mame Biramju, Sado Berahino. Remember him?
Yeah. Big prospect at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah, Sam Vokes and Benik Afobe. Yeah. He played a lot of games. He scored 8 goals, but there was a lot of rotation. Everyone got a lot of games in that side. Now, he went to Bristol City, and yes, he went out on loan. He got injured, whatever. But he was never going to Bristol City to be the number 1 striker. And they usually play with 1 striker. They play like a 3 with 2 wingers and a striker. Or they'll play like a 5-2-3 or something like that. Whatever they'll play about 5. But he was always going to go there to be behind Jeju because he was the big money signing. So this is the first time that Benik Afobe is coming into a club in a few years where he's like, right, I'm number 1. I'm kingpin. Bodvarsson, see ya. Bradshaw, see ya. Matt Smith, 20 minutes off the bench holding your back. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. Benik Afobe is going to be the main boy. Now, this is completely different. Let's think back to 12 months ago where we were sitting sort of like, you know, shitting ourselves over Troy Parrott going, oh my God, this guy's amazing. He's going to be great. He's going to be great.
Who's now joined the Dons, who cannot be spoken of.
No, they're not. They're going to change their name to MK City, by the way. You know that. He's going to try and pull a fast one. This could be the season where, you know, he actually puts himself back in contention. But one thing that worries me is, 1, he's on loan. Yeah. There's no guarantees he's going to be there next season. 2, and I wanted to raise this later, I still think that this squad is going to run into the same problems of the last 2 years, which is you have a really decent run of form and then you have a slump because everyone's knackered, because everyone is finished. I still think the squad is 2-3 players short. I don't know about you guys. I think it's still a quality forward short, someone creative in midfield maybe, and maybe someone on sort of one of the wings.
No, I was just going to say, I do sort of half agree with that. You can see where we're missing one or two. I think the chap we brought in on loan from Arsenal, the centre half, remind me his name.
Daniel Ballard.
Ballard, that we brought in on loan. Yeah, so Ballard we've gotten on loan. Yes, he's done well there. He did well against Gillingham, but again, I do feel we're probably a centre half short. A lot of people are mentioning against Gillingham, and with all due respect, I know even Martin, there's probably more people who dislike him more than like him. But Alex Pearce got an awful lot of time against Gillingham for a player who's meant to be bit part. You know, Jake Cooper was on the bench a long time, and also as well. It was mentioned, not just by me, so I'm not going to take all these plaudits and seem like I'm some kind of mastermind. I know I put it in the voice notes, Nick, but we were very, very reliant again on that long ball.
Long ball, yeah.
But we were very reliant on that long ball up to Matt Smith that he knocked down to Bradshaw or out wide. And as we said at Gillingham, and some of the fans said at Gillingham, that was our emergency tactics when we're 2-1 down, 2-0 down, not 1-0 down against the League One side in pre-season.
I mean, the goals we scored at Ipswich looked impressive, Michael. I mean, there was the move, I think, I don't know if it was Afobe's first or second goal. I think it was his first goal. And we seemed to hold possession for some time, knocking it around from midfield, back and forth, and then working one side, down the left side, and the ball in, and, you know, the shot on target, which was spilled to Afobe. So, I mean, I would imagine, and I'm guessing that Rowett is seeing the same things that we're seeing. You can't build a season based on hitting Max Smith and then knocking it down for Tom Bradshaw. Yesterday gave me a little bit more faith that there is a main plan, and that is, you know, possession-based football to some level. And then, you know, hopefully Afobe, possibly one other, because I mean, I keep seeing these reports that when we ship out Ben Thompson to Pompey, not if but when, and JDB being the you know, I think the more people talk about him going, the more they believe it might happen. I don't know if there's any real prospects for him not being at the club, and that will allow someone to come in. Big week ahead possibly on that front. I don't know. Certainly, I agree with you, Aaron, that goal scoring at some stage is going to become a problem.
I think as a player who's going to have a big season for us this year again is going to be George Saville, because it's very strange. Obviously, these are professional footballers and these are professional players, and they play a level of the game that only some of us can dream of. Well, most of us can dream of, to be fair. But when you just look at a player and you think you just present yourself as a player, you carry yourself as a player, you've just got it about you. Now, when George Saville came on against Gillingham, unfortunately I weren't at the Ipswich game, so if he had a mare, please correct me. But the game seems to change when Saville was brought on. He seemed a lot more composed on the ball than Thompson. He seemed a lot more composed on the ball than other centre midfielders. And I think, as I just said, it will be a big, big season. And again, unless I'm mistaken from what I saw online, I don't think it's much of a coincidence. We actually played a better, more flowing way of football and a game when George Saville played a bigger part. And certainly against Gillingham when he was introduced, he looked a lot better as a side, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Alex Grace was writing. That was the previous report for the points, the takeaway points from the game yesterday, talking about the intelligence of Benik Afobe. I think probably, it probably reinforces your point, Aaron, that we're probably one injury away from not having a decent side.
I think that whole depth issue will come and bite when you include the cup runs, you include the League Cup, the FA Cup, and let's be fair. I always say it every single year: the Championship, the EFL, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Absolutely,
Premier League, you feel sometimes it's a bit of a sprint. Granted, there's 8 less games. The Championship is a marathon. When you're playing those Tuesday nights in Stoke, in wherever, back in the night, when you got Blackpool on Monday night, you're in trouble. I think, again, there needs to be reinforcements. I hope, we talk about budget all the time. There's clubs out there with far lesser budget that are doing really, really good business.
Well, Luton struck me. I think you posted, Aaron, on Twitter about some of the business that Luton are doing. But
that's because of Big Mick. We need to say to Big Mick,
soon.
Good luck. Soon,
ex-Millwall man himself. That's
really sort of sad news. I messaged him. He's in good spirits. You know, he's a great guy, a really lovely guy, and it's just sad to hear what's happened. You know, but simple. If you're a man, go and get yourself checked out. You know, you need to do it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. No,
he's campaigning for it. Get yourself checked out.
Absolutely. You know, it's easy to take life for granted. I think as blokes, we generally do different.
As you well know, sir.
As I well know, yeah. I mean, it's different. It's a tangent, but it's true. I think you know. I think the problem with most of us, and I'm speaking for you two, but I'm sure I speak for most male listeners, is that you go through your life thinking you're slightly immortal, and you are not. And
Not,
it
as
creeps
you
up
well
on
know.
you. But anyway, we're going far from the path of.
I mean, just going back to
pre-season.
Luton's recruitment, I always go on about it because I think their approach, the way they scout players, the way they do things, and the way they know they're scouting players 6, 7, 8 months before they're about to buy them, heavily scouting them. Not like we'll go and watch the old game here and there. They heavily know what they're going for. They missed out on a player that went to Scotland. I know that left Sheffield Wednesday centre half. They were really interested in him, but they've got a fantastic spine there. And for people who are sitting there going, they're going to be pushovers, they'll be a hard team to beat. I'm watching the first game of the season, Luton Posh, and they'll be very, very good, Luton. I've no fear.
It's going to be an interesting season. I mean, I wonder if QPR. I mean, I know it's only a friendly, and we haven't said all that we said about pre-season, but for them to put a number of goals past Manchester United, that would imply that they're going to be contenders. Do you think they'll be in amongst it this season?
Weird, because over the past few years, QPR have just been a salvage job, haven't they? Trying to sort of resuscitate themselves. But right now, they look really good. And fair play to Mark Warburton. There was a lot of talk about Warburton leaving last season, about how, he was going to go to another gig and stuff like that. But he's stuck around. He's built a really decent squad. Charlie Austin, I'm sorry, is going to be the best striker in the league.
I mean, these are the kinds of business signings, shall we say, that, I think we're close at Millwall, but I do think that the squad size and depth might find us out.
I think it's about depth. Rather than quality, it's about depth, because there's a really good starting 11 there. But then when you need to make a change in the game and you're looking at the bench, it's that typical thing. A manager turns around and looks at the players. Who have I got? Tom Bradshaw? Nah.
Yeah.
Bob Arson? No. A lack of options there, which is worrying. But there are clubs in that division who have done really, really good business. Plus, don't forget, there's a lot of players still knocking around on frees, A hell of a lot of players still out there.
Yeah. I was going to say that could be like the one silver lining. I know we've not got a massive budget, but as we all know, and we ain't going to keep going over old ground, but with the COVID situation, there'll be some players who will just have to leave clubs, so clubs can balance their books a bit better. So there's a chance to get them on a free or a cheap or a decent loan deal. So yeah, no, I agree, Aaron. There's some good players knocking about.
Gary Rowett is looking at the possibility of transfer window dealings, chaps. I loved it. I don't know why it's a rather pompous phrase. He's asking if Alex Grace is asking if there's going to be any more transfers. And he says, we will look at that possibility. I mean, maybe would do as a reply. But I just like the kind of florid, kind of slightly pompous tone to that. We will look at that possibility.
Achtung, Millwall.
Talking about John Daddy there, Nick, sorry to cut in. I want to make this point. I think it's concerning where, obviously, we don't know everything what's going on at Millwall behind the scenes. And, they're not going to tell us even if they wanted to. But I think if the rumours are true or the supposed allegations are true, that we are basically just giving him to anyone, because I think there was talk that we was looking
like
at
an old Ford Escort.
Yeah, and with all due respect, I know, Aaron, that you've got a bit of a love for AFC Wimbledon, and I like AFC Wimbledon as well. But if you're even thinking of going to like an AFC Wimbledon, who budget-wise won't be anywhere near a top of League One, and you're basically trying to say, just take him. We don't care what you'll offer us. Just take him, and either they won't take him. There is a concern.
I've just seen someone do like a random, these people do like our championship predictions.
Yeah.
This is Millwall, 12th. All they need to do is give John Daddy Bodvarsson a run of games to find form.
Who says this? Mrs. Bodvarsson.
No, and they could possibly push top 6 with that one. He's the most talented striker at the club, but he's not given a chance. Another average season.
Signed his mum.
Yeah. This podcast is sponsored by the Bodvarsson family.
Oh dear.
Someone replied to him, "You're high." Very simple.
You're right. I think they are.
Terrible.
900 Millwall went to Ipswich yesterday. I don't know how many. There was a decent turnout at Gillingham in midweek there, Michael. Seems to be a real. I mean, I don't know if you boys agree. There just seems to be a real hunger generally. I'm not just talking about Millwall here. There's just a real hunger to get back to the football. You know, after what is it, a year and a half we've had of this kind of strangers that's nothing kind of scene that we've had, get back to normality. 1,000 tickets being made available for that was the Ipswich, but I mean 2,000 tickets, sorry, for Portsmouth to come for the Caribou Cup. You know, there's just a real hunger at the moment for action again.
Absolutely. You know, people. I said this. You know, a lot of people turn around to me and they're like, "Oh, fans won't go back and they'll be concerned and X and Y and Z." I said, I think the opposite. I think fans are going to realise their love for it again. Saturday afternoons without football are not Saturday afternoons. It's horrible. And I, for one, you know, I'm just delighted that pre-season's over because for me, that 6, 7, 8 weeks without football it kills me. And I went to football with no fans and it was horrible. I'll be honest with you. It was
because you were in the ground, weren't you?
It was one of the worst.
Working. You know.
It was horrible. It was horrible. I can't wait for it. You know, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you a little story. When I was at Love Sport, you remember I kept going to Dubai?
You did?
I kept going to Dubai. I went to Dubai about 3 times in 3 months.
I wonder what you're up to.
Yeah, well, I can tell you now. I was speaking to beIN Sports.
Were you? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Got me a job. So I went and I sat there and I was like, I need to think about it. So I went out, chat to my friends and stuff like that. And I said no. And they're like, why?
But you've been based out there in Dubai?
Yeah. No, they said I could live in Dubai or Oman. Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, if I'm living there, I'll live in Dubai, Media City, it'll be amazing. So I sat there, chilled, whatever, that night. I've gone the next day. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't do it. They've gone, why? You've got no kids, no commitments. And I go, I know. But the reason I do this job, the reason I do it is because on a Saturday at 3 o'clock, that noise.
Yeah, the vibe, the energy, yeah.
You know, when you're in a ground and the fucking stand shaking because there's that much noise. That's what I want. I want the smell of fucking, you know, pies and piss, mate. I want to hear people complain. I want to see police horses. I want to be parking fucking 6.5 miles away from a ground. I have to schlep it that way, there. When the pissing rain, I want it all. I don't want to sit in the studio and watch TV and commentate. I want to be there. And that is what it's all for. And you know, Mark Chapman on 5 Live calls me a romantic. He always says, you're so romantic about football. But I love that. I am very romantic. And I'll be honest with you, when I went to one of the first games with fans back, so I went to Cambridge United, Fulham under-21s. It was good. Right, yeah. It was great. But then I went to Norwich. Norwich played someone, and there are 2,000 fans at Carrow Road. And honestly, it was very emotional. It was very, very, very emotional. When those players come out to run out, it was unreal. And the noise that 2,000 people can make. So when there's a full ground, I'm going to be like, what the hell? Mate, I'm going down Kenilworth Road on Saturday. Proper shit up, yeah?
Yeah, old school, yeah.
I'm going to Fulham on Sunday. It'll be a full house. It will be a full house at Fulham on Sunday. It's going to be great. This is what we've waited for so long. I just can't wait, man.
Yeah. I agree.
Do you know what the rumble at 3 o'clock is going to be now this season? It's going to be all the fans who have drunk the out-of-date piss beer running to the toilets just before kick-off to bring it all back up again.
I love that. Wonderful out-of-date alcohol for sale at Gillingham in midweek. I just thought that was just brilliant. That is English football in its most romantic. I think that's a good word by Aaron, a romantic, angle. I mean, one of the things, Ali McCoy speaking during the European, I wrote this quote down because I liked it. He said it's a different sport with spectators. And it is, isn't it? I mean, we've all watched the endless I follow streams with no one there, and it's football, but it's not football as we properly want to see it. So I'm really looking forward to it. I can't make QPR next week, unfortunately. I'm away, but my first game will be the Blackburn. Are you going to go to the Caribou Cup game, the midweek one, Michael, or are you saving it for the Saturday?
Do you know what?
You're at QPR. You're at QPR.
I'm at QPR. Yeah, we've got like a little Achtung meetup, haven't we? And from the things from what we see on social media, it seems like everyone and their dog managed to get a ticket, which is brilliant. And do you know what? As nice as it was to see a few familiar faces at Gillingham, it'll be good to catch up with everyone properly, like you said, at a league game.
Yeah.
Pompey, I'm not too sure about it. Still the 18 quid. I probably will go. one. I'm sitting here moaning and groaning about prices of football, but I'll probably go. But no, I just can't wait for the QPR game. I didn't get the Willy Wonka golden tickets that everyone's banging on about online that they managed to get. So I'm in the bottom tier. So yeah, I'm just really looking forward to it. Like you say, Aaron, it's just going to be good to get down there. It is a different game without spectators. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I'm not sure whether it was just the level of the actual fun as well. I think I only done the iFollow every week because of one, it's watching your team Millwall, and two, you obviously want to try and financially support. But I watched very little football last season due to the fact there was no fans there, no real atmosphere. And I think what you're saying about Ali McCoy's comments there, that's what made the Euros even more magical, was the fact there was actually fans back.
Yeah.
And that added to it a bit. Yeah. It's just, I'm looking forward to, like you say, Aaron, I'm looking forward to it all again, the queuing up for like the hot dogs and the game starting and all that stuff. It's going to be great fun. Can't wait. Really looking forward to it.
Lads, yesterday there was a lot of football on. I noticed that on social media. A lot of people were going to football yesterday. And I sat there and I'm like, you know what? It felt bad. Yesterday felt bad. It felt like that first day of the season yesterday, because I'm looking on social media, everyone's talking about how they're going to this game, they're going to that game, they're going there, they're going there, they're going there, wherever. Yeah. I know Fulham, Brentford, and Wimbledon were all playing. So I was actually going to South West London yesterday. Had tickets to Wimbledon, couldn't go. A friend was on the leaving party instead. I said, you know what? On any other Saturday, it wouldn't happen. I wouldn't be coming, but it's pre-season. I'll come to your leaving party, mate. Trying to get from where I am to South West London took ages, and then you look at it. Fulham had to put kickoff to 4:00. Wimbledon had to delay kickoff because I don't know.
They're in their new ground now. They're in the new Plough Lane, aren't they?
They're in Plough Lane, but there was so much traffic. Brentford at home against West Ham, Fulham at home, Wimbledon at home. All these clubs are playing friendlies. One thing I've noticed as well, and I don't know if this is just me, if anyone else has noticed, do email us or give us a call on that number.
Yeah, do let us know. Yeah.
Do you think, having looked at social media and how clubs are operating, that they've kind of forgotten what they're doing? Because for me, I feel clubs are very unorganised now compared to where they were before, where it's a 3:00 kickoff, we're ready with this. Clubs now are like, right, well, yeah, there's this issue and that issue and that issue. I think clubs are going to struggle to sort of, bed in. They need that sort of running in service, if you like, where they
possibly
can get how they feel again. Because again, like, I've just seen so many kickoffs move. I've seen a lot of people complain about timings, about how stuff's not ready in grounds, how it's kind of just, it's been adapted and it hasn't been adapted back properly. So it will be interesting to see how everyone kind of reviews things next Saturday. If the Angelo Petti's cold, when you go back to the den,
I want to see if the bird shit's been removed from my little corner up there in Block 1. I'm expecting it to be the same droppings that they've always been there. The pigeons would have had an easy time for 18 months, wouldn't they? I think you're right. I think it's been a long time, Aaron, and it's strange how you can get out of the habit. And I think that there's a psychological argument that we are all only the sum total of our habits, and that's who you are as a person. And it's easy to break a habit. So it's going to be interesting going back on a regular basis to football. I haven't done that for a year and a half now, so I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, I mean, will clubs be ready for it? I don't know. I think in some ways, as we saw the European Champions Cup final with the England v Italy, I don't think Wembley were exactly ready for the return of fans, because it was mayhem. So I do wonder whether that's going to happen elsewhere as the season unfolds. But we will see. I'm going to take a little break and listen to Michael's audio from Gillingham. A bit of real football for you, dear listeners. And when we come back, I've got 2 items I just want to run past the boys. So I'll be right back.
Achtung, Millwall.
The sun is shining, the birds are singing, Franz Ferdinand is playing, and we are back in a football stadium, ladies and gentlemen, with no restrictions, no masks, no you name it, and still no sanitizer, which I think for Gillingham they could have had anyway. Franz Ferdinand is playing, as you can hear. Danny McNamara has taken a couple of sort of free kicks in the warm-up. Jake Cooper's some ways and bouncing the ball like a basketball, and Alex Pearce is doing a little warm-up as well, followed by Matt Smith. It's great to be back. Millwall fans are here. Not long now till kick-off. A good starting line-up from Millwall for this game with Gillingham. Come on, your lines. So what, we're quarter of an hour in. I'm doing a voice note. Quarter of an hour in, and 20 yards out, strike from the little number 8. Hit it quite nicely. Gillingham's first real chance of the half in the game. Just outside the box after a little bit of backwards and forwards. Off the post, beat Bart. Nothing you can really do about that. 1-0 Gillingham, the bastards. Half-time here at Priestfield, and you wouldn't think there was a pandemic, really. Not because of the people in the crowd, but Millwall's got us back to that pre-COVID level of enjoyment. One real chance for Gillingham, and not really a lot from Millwall except for a deflected effort from a Phobe. Would you agree, chaps? Yeah. That's about it. Yeah, that's about it. First quarter of an hour was pretty good, pretty lively. Got stuck in, but not sure whether it's the heat and maybe too much sangria on their Spanish holidays in the Costa del Sol, but they did seem to blow out a puff pretty quickly. The biggest round of applause was George Saville in the number 17 coming to warm up, but boo hiss. The players weren't allowed to talk to the kids here who have got signs up saying, "Cooper, can I have your shirt, please?" Is it the Millwall we know? Don't know. Big second half. Come on, you Lions. 1-1 here at Priestfield after Millwall scored from a corner kick. The corner came over nicely, floated over brilliantly. Matt Smith with the knockdown, and Jake Cooper from about 2-3 yards out. Cooper's just been fouled there himself. But Jake Cooper, 2-3 yards out, heading it home, keeper beaten. Wouldn't necessarily say it was coming, because I don't think we've done a lot in the final third, but for someone who was having a very, very, very suspect start to the second half, Matt Smith's actually been knocking the ball down and getting some good flicks on in the last 20-25 minutes. Our only problem is there's not really been anyone reading it, and that's a tactic we used last season in emergency situations. Matt Smith knockdowns in the pre-season friendly against a League One side is a bit concerning. We've just won another corner, not long to go. Come on, you Lions. So it's full time here at Priestfield, and it finishes Gillingham 1, Millwall 1. I do think the Jake Cooper goal does paper over a bit of a crack, and we don't want to be too negative with only the second game of pre-season, or definitely the first with fans back. But yeah, we're going to need to do a lot of work to actually push for the top 6, as Mr. Nick Hart thinks, because that wasn't great. Nothing really in the final third as usual. There were some positives. Ballard had a good game, I felt. Malone looked incredibly sharp. Evans again looked good, as I think he did all last season, carried that over. Leonard looked fit again. And, I don't think really, apart from their goal, Gillingham really tested us, but we didn't really test them neither. We are struggling in the final third. Phobe ran well and played well, but didn't really test too much, and Bradshaw, I'm not sure what's happening there, but he looks really off the pace. Maybe it could be the lingering injury. Question marks are, for me, there was a lot of time that Thompson was given. He put in a good shift. Pearce was given a long hour when you had Jake Cooper on the bench. Not sure why he was given so much time. If he needs the time and he needs the fitness, and he's not clearly fit enough for championship level while playing. But the main thing I'll take from the game, look, fans are back. That's the main thing. It was a good atmosphere. Millwall fans are top class. There was children there enjoying the game, adults there enjoying the game. Fans are back. That's the main thing. Come on, Lions.
Just to interject on the show a moment, if I may, dear listeners, I received an email from Millwall fan Rob Woodford, who is a qualified London cabbie and London guide. And Rob is organising a walkabout, a Millwall History Walkabout and Heritage Day on the 4th of September, starting from West India Quay Station at 11 a.m. on Saturday the 4th of September. And it's going to be covering the origins of the club that we love, Millwall, in Docklands, a couple of the pubs, the George, and of course the Lord Nelson, including the sites of the former grounds and local history along the way. It sounds like an utterly fantastic event. I'm going to put a link to buy tickets, £12.50 from Eventbrite. I'll stick that Eventbrite link in the show notes and in Twitter and the social media. Sounds like a really interesting day out. So Saturday, the 4th of September, Millwall History and Heritage Day with Millwall fan qualified guide Rob Woodford, and sounds like a really cracking day out. I wish I'd thought of doing it, actually. Now you've said that, Rob. Thanks for letting me know that. And now, back to the show.
Achtung, Millwall.
Welcome back, dear listeners. Aaron, you might know a little bit more about this than most. Derby County are in all sorts of trouble, aren't they? I couldn't let the episode pass without dwelling a little bit on Derby County. It's financial problems, it's managerial problems, it's just general existence. I mean, if you're ever going to do a soap opera, you could call it Derby, couldn't you? I mean, it's wonderful stuff.
Put it this way. This is the level of fuck they are. I went on Sky Bet the other day to see what price they are to get relegated. They're not even listed.
Are they not?
They're not even listed. They've listed 23 teams.
You can't even get a price for them.
You can't get a price for Derby to get relegated. They are in big, big, big trouble. Now they're gonna. I don't even know where to start with them. Like the takeover's not gonna happen. He's not gonna have any money to spend. He'll get sacked.
He can't even field a team. He was saying it.
Can't field a team. They're trying to offer Phil Jagielka a deal. They're trying to offer Richard Stearman a deal. If they had Phil Jagielka and Curtis Davies at the back, their back line will have a combined age of 84. I think 74.
Maybe I'd have a chance if I go up.
Oh, I think a combined age of 84, something crazy like that. They haven't got any strikers. Martin Waghorn's gone. They've got no players. That club is on its knees. But it teaches the story, doesn't it, Nick, of an owner who a lot of people sort of had as marketed as this hero because he's a local boy. He's a Derby fan. You know, he's made a lot of money on apps and sort of like digitally. You know, he was going to be this kind of saviour who was going to be the one to take Derby to the Premier League. And the funny thing about Derby is, you know, we sit and we think about it and we talk about it and read. Don't forget, their most consistent period was in the 90s under Jim Smith. Yeah, the Bald Eagle. You remember the Bald Eagle?
Yeah. Good manager, yeah.
You know, and he kept that club going by the early phases of Moneyball. He was buying in players from all sorts of places. Italy, there are players like Stefano Aranio, Branko Strupa, Conor Blastis, all these players coming in. And it was the very high turnover of players constantly. Then obviously they lost patience with them. They got relegated. And that's when the shit set in. They had a really bad financial time during the mid-2000s. And then they kind of recovered themselves. Obviously, they got to the Premier League. They got relegated again. They had financial trouble again. Mel Morris is coming. Now, when he come in with his Candy Crush money, I think it was, everyone's like, yeah, he's going to be great. And he spent it. You know, when you've got a forward line of Darren Bent and Chris Martin and Martin Waghorn and all these players who are on a decent wage, you've got midfielder Tom Alderson and Joe Ledley. This is money. And he's broke his back trying to get that club to the Premier League. But, you know, I think he got to the point where he's like, I've spent so much money. And he was at fault. Don't get me wrong. He was at fault, Mel Morris. He spent so much money. What more do I put in now? What do I do? A lot of people said he had an itchy trigger finger. I think that is very, very true. He loves sacking managers. You know, Gary Rowett was
he was a casualty there, wasn't he?
You know, you think about some of the managers that have been through there. Paul Clement, Steve McLaren twice.
Yeah.
Frank Lampard's been there. Philip Cocu's been there. You know, there are so many people that have tried it with Derby and tried. They haven't managed to do it. And now they are on their knees. You know, at one point, around sort of about 5 years ago, they hired a guy called Sam Rush as their CEO, who had a lot of extensive knowledge in like American sports, the way they market things, the way they do things. So if you look at Pride Park, it's a new build ground. It's a bit of an IKEA ground. For me, it's the best out of the IKEA grounds. This guy wanted to make money so bad. Imagine in Pride Park, built in, they've got a Subway, a Greggs, and a Starbucks coffee.
Inside the stadium?
Inside the ground. You can just walk up. It's like a branch.
Okay.
Inside the ground. If you look at the main stand, the way the boxes are laid out is like a very, very American baseball style.
Yeah.
And everything is sponsored, mate. The tunnel's sponsored. The gangways are sponsored. The flipping steels are sponsored. That's sponsored. That's sponsored. They've made so much money off this business. But now they want out because it's hemorrhaging money hand over foot. They've got FFP complications. They can't spend anything. So the deal they're on now with the EFL is very simply they can sign free agents on a wage cap. I don't know what that wage cap is, but there's got to be some sort of wage cap in place, or they can sign loans until Christmas, until January. They're in trouble. They are in so much trouble. It's unreal. And truth be told, if you were Derby and you had the chance to go down last year, you should have gone down last year. You would have wanted to go down last year, because Wednesday, on the other hand, under Darren Moore, mate, the signings they're making are unbelievable.
Yeah,
the fact that they can get Bailey Peacock-Farrell, the goalkeeper from Burnley, and persuade him to come and play League One football. They're going to go somewhere Wednesday.
It's a sad sight to see these clubs spinning out of control. I mean, Derby obviously are a name. I'm old enough to remember Derby being champions of the Football League in the early 70s under Brian Clough, of course. But it also makes you, I don't know how you feel about this, Michael, but, you know, we spent a bit of time earlier on in the show talking about maybe we don't have a squad big enough, and maybe we don't have the strikers, we're a well-run club. We have a chairman that we will only, probably many of us will only come to value him truly when he's not here anymore, because then you'll see some of the other alternatives. But I think John Berylson is certainly the best chairman of Millwall in my time. I'd include possibly even Reg Burr in that from the 80s. It gives you some sense of the value of having a structure and stable management. It can be a bit boring sometimes, but look at what excitement can bring you at Derby. You know, it's quite a contrast, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I'm like you, Nick. I mean, to a degree, and with all due respect, I've not got your years, but I'm a bit of the traditionalist.
Easy.
I remember, easy. I remember a few years ago when people were saying about teams who have just recently been in the Premier League, and it's, again, it always sounds like I'm bashing up this football manager generation, but you'd see online people were saying like Bournemouth and Stoke, a bigger club.
Throw Charlton into the
bigger
mix.
Club.
You know, they've suffered, haven't they?
Yeah. And you know, you've got these clubs where they're saying these teams, they're bigger, they're some of the biggest teams of all time, and it's like you can list at least 5 to 10 teams in the Championship who historically, and just what they've given to the game over the years, who, if you want to go by heritage and size and history and fan bases and what they've won, automatically get a pass into the Premier League through their history, and Derby are one of them. So when you see a team like Derby and they're in that situation, like you say, like the Brian Clough days, and I believe it was the year after they made the semi-final of the European Cup, they got knocked out by Juventus, weren't it?
They did, yeah, semi-finalists, yeah.
So you know, so it wasn't as if it was like a one-year thing. They did all right next year as well. But it's just a shame when you see these big names and they're just so badly run. And I know what you mean about John Berylson. I've lost count the amount of times we've praised how good a chairman John Berylson is on this pod, on other pods, and in the fan base. But those I feel sorry for. It's the young fans of football as well that I feel sorry for. It's the young Derby County fans who are now seeing their team just absolutely in the shit. And it's like you said, Aaron, as well, with the way they're allowed to sign players now. I believe, isn't it? I mean, I could be wrong, so do correct me, Aaron. Aren't they saying they've got to be allowed to sign players because of the mental pressure it could put on the young players if they were forced to put the youth players
Thursday off the field?
They've got the feeling that they're allowed to have up to 23 players.
Yeah.
You know,
just to take part in the competition, you'd need enough. I mean, I get that argument. I mean, whether it would hold up in any kind of legal sense, I don't know. But I can get that from a human sense, that if you're going to put kids into a 46-game program in the Championship, you're asking a lot of them, aren't you? And the pressure that would come with that.
Well, it happened with Bolton. It happened with Bolton in League One. They put their young kids out, and they were just getting absolutely turned over every single week, weren't they?
Well, I was just going to say all this, and we still haven't touched on Wayne Rooney's night out. And
I was just sorry, I was
and the Premier Inn. You know, we haven't even gone there, have we?
Allegedly.
It's amazing how he plays up. Isn't it amazing how he plays up? Like when he's under pressure, he plays up like that.
He must, yeah.
You know, I don't think he'll be there for much longer, personally. But I was also looking at their fixtures. They got Huddersfield, which is a game they need to win. Imagine straight away saying that's a 6-pointer. Huddersfield, first day of the season. Salford, which is a slippery one.
In the League Cup.
In the League Cup. Posh away, Hull away, Borough. Then they got the big one against Forest on the 28th of August.
Some big fixtures in there.
Got some big fixtures. I mean, Salford beat them last week in the pre-season. They beat Real Betis. They beat Notts County. But Notts County, don't forget, are a non-league team.
They are. Yeah, they are. Yeah,
it's just,
sadly.
I just really wonder. But I look at their squad and some of the quality they had in it. Craig Forsyth, Richard Keogh, Chris Baird, Andre Wisdom, Alex Pearce, remember him, Marcus Olsen, Curtis Davis, Casey Palmer, Ketchianya, Bradley Johnson, George Thorne. I was just looking at George Thorne and looking at his career. He went for big money from West Brom to Derby, and it just never worked out because he had so many injuries. Tom Huddleston, Tom Lawrence, Andy Vyman, Matej Vidra, Bryson, Martin, Bent. There's so many names in there. And with all due respect to that squad, they underachieved so badly.
Yeah,
that squad should have destroyed the league, and gone up and been quite comfortable in the Premier League. Stayed up quite nicely.
There we are, Derby. We'll see. I mean, it's going to be an interesting opening few weeks in the Championship, that's for sure. I just wanted to close us, boys, if I may, with something that caught my eye. It's kind of gone slightly under the radar. New heading guidance by the EFL. There are now restrictions on the number of headers that players can undertake in training, because obviously the linkage with later life Alzheimer's and brain damage later on in life is becoming increasingly hard to ignore. And I go around in circles a little bit on this, because on the one hand we have the game that we love and have loved all of our lives, and it has a format and a look. And then there's this kind of nagging sense of doubt that maybe you're destroying human lives as a consequence of your sporting pleasure. This is not an issue that's going to go away, Aaron, and I think that we're going to see changes to the rules of the game itself in time. How do you see this heading issue? I mean,
I think if they're going to sort of restrict things, they should do it from a younger age rather than top of the game. Do it from a younger age where people are sort of less developed effectively. I think maybe could we look at a change in ball technology as well? Is there potential for that? That there are a whole bunch of avenues you've got to look at, but I think from a younger age it's got to start with the actual game itself. I don't think it'll ever change it. I honestly
I hope not, and yet I don't know whether I'm I'm inflicting something on other people. I mean, Michael, you're involved in refereeing, as we can see on the screen at the moment, but the restrictions on training will be where it starts. 10 higher force headers are the guidelines, which are balls that have been kicked for, I think it's more than 30 meters, so they would like a cross or a kick forward from a goalkeeper, a ball that's been kicked at some pace. These will be restricted in training, not in open play so far. But I wonder where this ends. It's as I say, I don't see it going away. Do you?
I think not problem, because whenever you highlight things that could help save lives or keep lives longer, it's obviously a good thing. But there is mounting evidence now that heading footballs obviously causes problems. Without trying to get into too much of sort of personal lives on our show, because we don't really do that too much. But my son had a condition a couple of years ago where he had to have MRI scans on his head and things like that. And I remember saying, he was at King's College, and I remember saying to the sort of neuro doctor, "Oh, so he should be all right to like header a football again, ha ha ha," like things you sort of say. And this was literally 4 or 5 years ago now. So this was well before this all started coming up now. And even he said, he went, as a neurosurgeon and as a neuro doctor, the first thing I'd advise you to do is never header a football if you're a child. And that was before there was all this research. I think, as you say, Aaron, when you're training children, I agree. I mean, if their brains and their skulls are sort of soft bone and not developed enough yet, the last thing you want to do is have them heading footballs for like half hours every Tuesday to see how well they commit to headers. In a game, it's different. Yes, absolutely. But no, I don't think it will go away. I think it will linger in the background, but I do think you will get some old-fashioned heads, if you will, who still who still want to want to head the ball. It's a controversial subject, but one thing I will say, if you can track it down, I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but just watch that Alan Shearer documentary he did a few years ago.
Yeah.
When it was about headering the football, I can't remember. I think it was his manager at Southampton. He met up with him in the pub, didn't he? Have you either of you two seen this documentary?
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
Right, I believe it was his manager at Southampton. He said there was one point where he's totally fine. They're having a normal chat. It was his manager, someone Alan Shearer looked up with, and then he said at one point he was driving home and he forgot where he lived. Couldn't remember where he lived, and he put it down to headering a football. But I don't think I'm labouring a point. I don't think it's mainly to do with just football. It's been looked at everywhere. It's been looked at rugby when it comes to the
American
with the
football
tackles.
Yeah.
So there obviously is something there. There is something there, and do I think it will change the rules? No, I don't think it will change the rules of the game, but I think it will change, like you say, Nick, how you train and how you prepare.
Certainly, that's what the guidelines relate to, and it's going to be something that we'll monitor that obviously as it goes along. The game that we love is what it looks like when it does, and hopefully it will continue. But it's a difficult one. There we are. Aaron, you wanted to mention a cabbie, I believe.
Oh, the cabbie of the week, yeah. So
cabbie of the week.
So I take a lot of cabs, and I find out that there's a lot of cab drivers that are Millwall fans. A lot of them feel quite disconnected from Millwall. You know, they're older school fans, and you know they don't enjoy going down and then. I always obviously mention the pod and stuff, and they're amazed and they love it. You know, when I sort of talk about it and stuff. So. I just want to give a shout out to Darren of Peckham this week.
Darren of Peckham
this week in his lovely. I think it was an electric cab. I think he had. I can't remember. I'll drive going so many. I can't remember which one it is. But Darren of Peckham. He said he's going to get. Oh yeah, no, it's electric cab. He's got on the new beautiful cab, by the way, like electric one, lovely. It's got a giant iPad screen in it. He said he's going to get his daughter to program the pod on it so that he can listen to the podcast. And so you know, he was listening to Magic Soul when I got in. That's all right. No, nothing wrong with Magic.
No.
You know, easy listening for the over 50s. But you know, come on, man, you got to get on the pod down. So Darren of Peckham, you're our cabbie of the week, mate.
Big shout out to Darren of Peckham.
Welcome to the show, by the way, Nick.
Go on.
The EFL season preview, 5 Live Sport, live on Friday night. The Friday Football Social with me. I don't know who else with. But yeah, the Friday Football Session with me on Friday, 5 Live Sport. We're going to be previewing the whole season. We'll see if we get any Millwall guests on. We're going to try, see what I can do. But yeah, give us a listen.
Absolutely. And that'll be podcasted as well as
podcasted, of course.
Radio on the wireless.
Live
And podcasted, I guess, afterwards. So tune in. Radio 5, Aaron Paul. Just search for him on the website. He's always out there. And Michael, just to close us, mate, we're going to try and do a little bit of is it a link up, a little bit of a following of Erith Town this season, mate, aren't we? We're going to try and keep tabs on one of your local sides, I think, isn't it, Erith? Yeah,
well, we sort of touted the idea, didn't we, as a sort of kind of like a non-league review,
just to follow them a little bit. Yeah. Just
to see how they get on. Obviously, there's some Millwall fans who nip down to Fisher. I'm sort of right slap bang in the middle of Erith Town and Erith and Belvedere, and you see some Millwall fans go down there, and they're also in the same league as well. So we thought that we'd, or it was Nick's brainchild that I'm sort of running with, that we would sort of cover the league that they're in, how they're getting on, and you know, if we can get down to games, have a few words and little match reports and how it's getting on, we'll do that kind of thing. Because if there are sort of Fisher supporting listeners of the pod who obviously are Millwall fans as well, it'd be good to have a little listen to see how the local teams are getting on. And I don't know if any listeners saw, but Fisher, Erith Town and Erith and Belvedere all won their first game of the season last over the weekend. So, yeah, I'll be down there for the Erith Derby. There we are. It'll be...
the Erith Ultras going to be there.
Who's that?
The Erith Ultras.
With their banners.
Indeed, yeah. They'll be hiding around the Iceland, around the corner, waiting to jump out. But
Erith play
the Deers versus the Dockers.
It's a sports centre ground.
So so Erith and Belvedere play at Parkview Road, which is where Welling play. So that's quite easy to get to for a lot of Millwall fans. Nice ground as well, obviously. And the one difference as well is, unlike Welling, they don't charge you £2 extra to sit down, which Welling do. But Erith Town, they play at Bexley Athletic Club, which is just round the corner from Erith Station.
Okay.
So again, I'm not expecting people to clamber down to or stop going Millwall to go watch Erith Town, but I know the chairman reasonably well. He's a great guy, really keen on Mill and sort of follows us how we are. Same with Erith and Belvedere as well. So if there's ever games where Millwall are away and you can't get to, for
Midweek
example,
fixtures,
QPR
yeah.
game, we're only
Really?
allowed midweek fixtures as well. If there's ever games you can't get to, nip down to Erith Town, Erith Belvedere, and Fisher as well. So and let us know how they get on. But yeah, we'll be sort of having a 5-minute slot. We'll let you know how they get on.
Great stuff. Gentlemen, we've reached the end of my agenda. I'm really looking forward to the start of the season next week, but I think we can't close today's show without a score prediction for QPR versus Millwall. Aaron, how do you see that one going?
1-1.
1-1. I think that's a
One
very,
each.
a very cautious judge there. Michael, what do you think?
4-4.
With a Benicophobia hat trick?
No, I'm only joking. Benicophobia hat trick, yeah. Matt Smith against Douglas. No, I'm going to go. Let's be quite optimistic. QPR 0, Millwall 1. But
Yeah,
that's being optimistic.
No, I fancy it to be a manic Millwall day out. It's checking into Loftus Road is always a bit like getting into or out of Guantanamo Bay high security prison. So I can see it being a high energy afternoon. I think that the mania will prevail, and I think we'll win it. You've had 1-0, so I'm going to go 2-1 Millwall. I'll go 2-1 Millwall, just to so we've got a range of scores there. So fingers crossed. Thank you, Aaron, Paul. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the show this afternoon. And we will be back, I hope. I'm away next week, so I can't go to QPR. If we have Wi-Fi when I'm away, I might. Where am I going? I'm going to the wilds of Somerset with the family. It's a postponed 60th birthday thing from last year. I'm hoping we've got Wi-Fi. If we have Wi-Fi, then I'll try and put a show out next week. But I'm going to wait and see what it's like and whether the countryside, is in the year 2021. We shall see. But one way or the other, we'll be back in time for the 14th of August, the return of football to the den, league football to the den. So until then, from Michael, it's goodbye.
Cheerio, chaps.
And from Aaron, it's good night.
Arrivederci Millwall.
And it's good night from him. Thank you for listening. Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to AchtungMillwall. If you enjoyed the show, please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a cheeky little review. Arrivederci Millwall. Till next time.
Who do you want to watch?